Hey guys, tonight we begin with a darker twist. Ambition, betrayal, and the ultimate price of one's life. We will explore the tragic journey of Anne Boleyn, the woman who shook the history of England but paid for it with her head. Forget those romantic royal tutor shows on Netflix, because the truth is you would not last a single day in those gilded slippers. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And do not forget to leave a comment telling me where you are watching from and what time it is in your location. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. So you have just stepped into the Tudor world, waking up as Anne Boleyn in the year 1526. The very moment you open your eyes, you realize you stand in a cold palatial chamber, its ceiling glimmering with candlelight and resonating with the soft strains of a harpsichord. The first bit of good news reaches you. You have caught the eye of Henry VIII, the most powerful king in England. The bad news follows immediately. The path to becoming queen remains a very long one, for you possess no royal blood and are in no way close to the throne. Your father, Thomas Boleyn, used cunning and connections to rise to the position of court tutor, but that title only elevated your family into the political middle class. It did not make you a princess. Just consider your sister Mary, once the king's mistress, who was cruelly cast aside when she became pregnant. Now it is your turn. Hidden eyes in the guard towers regard you warily, and Henry himself measures you with a calculating gaze, ever seeking political advantage over genuine affection. As you have been prepared, you spent several years at the French court. There you mastered the art of refined etiquette, practiced witty conversation, and learned to dance in a floor-length gown without stumbling a feat far from easy. Your French, both graceful and incisive, fills English courtiers with pride and suspicion alike, for they understand that an intelligent woman such as you could shift the balance of power at any moment. The Tudor court does not lack fragrances, but its scent is a complex symphony. Heady perfume on silk collars, mingled with the faint odours of unwashed bodies beneath many layers of fine fabric, and the ever-present undercurrent of ambition for the throne. You clutch a pomander close whenever Henry approaches, for the musty scent of his hunting clothes unwashed for 3 days threatens to overwhelm you. Your newly revealed status at court brings countless risks. Every glance, every laugh or whispered reply can mark you as a figure of ridicule, or worse, as prey for hidden enemies lying in wait. Ladies-in-waiting loyal to Catherine of Aragon, secret agents for Cardinal Wolsey, and even distant relatives eager to report your slightest misstep to your father stand ready around you, poised to exploit any vulnerability for their own gain. Imagine each morning you rise. Before you, a magnificent canopy bed. Behind you, a retinue of attendants. Around you, flickering candlelight and hushed murmurs. Yet in that very moment, you know you are never truly alone. Not only can your bedroom door be opened at any time, but every letter, every whispered word may be intercepted and controlled. Getting out of bed each day becomes a gamble. Today you might advance one step closer into the king's favour, or you might be disgracefully banished back to Heather Castle. The concept of privacy seems erased. No curtain can keep out the prying eyes of the court, no wall can contain its curiosity and envy. You, as Anne Boleyn, begin each day under meticulous surveillance from all directions, and this is merely the overture. The road ahead bristles with hidden traps, where every step, every glance, every breath carries the risk of sudden downfall. So steel yourself, for Anne's story has only just begun to unfold its bittersweet blend of power, ambition, and the price one pays for daring to enter the perilous stage of politics. Next, we will delve deeper into the first calculations and challenges you now, in Anne Boleyn's shoes, must face each day within the unforgiving Tudor court. In the year 1527, when Henry VIII publicly declared his intention to marry you, you might have believed it to be the sweetest moment of triumph. Yet the reality was far more brutal. He already had a lawful wife, Catherine of Aragon, daughter of Ferdinand and Isabella, aunt to Emperor Charles V, who had captured the hearts of the English people for 18 years. Your dream of queenship shattered instantly when you realized that your path would be littered with agonizing trials. Catherine refused to grant her consent to a divorce, and the Pope, under pressure from staunchly Catholic powers, flatly denied Henry's petition for annulment. Every failed harvest, every diplomatic snub, even the blossoming of spring flowers was blamed on you. Rumours spread that you were a witch, a seductress who had bewitched the king. Pamphlets depicting you with 6 fingers or half-serpent bodies circulated through London, stoking fear and hatred. For 6 long years, you hovered between hope and despair, with King Henry's promises of queenship dangling before you, yet never materializing. You aged as though enduring 20 years of hardship in a single span. Weary journeys to supplicate cardinals, disdainful glances from the courts of Europe, and endless gossip weighing on your shoulders. Each step you took felt twice as heavy, for you were not merely waiting for a wedding, but walking a razor's edge. One slip could mean ruin. Your allies were few and calculating. The Boleyn family supported you for their own prestige and power, rather than for your happiness. The religious reformers flaunted you as their champion of new doctrines, caring little for your personal well-being. Even Henry's love became transactional. He needed you as a symbol of his desire for a male heir and a means to break free from Catherine. Night after night, you woke in terror at whispered threats from imperial ambassadors, grasping at scraps of security, a psychological torment more relentless than any glittering crown. After surviving each morning of scandal, you deserved the comfort of a warm bath, but do not dream. In Tudor England, a bath meant a wooden tub of cold or tepid water hauled from the fireplace. No running showers, no fragrant soaps, only buckets of water and the watchful eyes of your attendants, who whispered about every blemish, every imperfection as they cleansed you. That ritual, lacking privacy and rife with judgment, made you cringe each time you disrobed. As the water pooled around your skin, you envisioned hostile faces beyond the palace windows, malicious rumors dancing upon the droplets, each one a tiny sting against your flesh. You blinked back tears, craving the solitude of water, yet fearing that your every flaw would ignite fresh controversy. Waterlogged hair clung to your brow, betraying the weary lines etched by 6 years of political intrigue. Such was your daily existence, from the opulence of your canopy bed to the simplicity of that wooden tub, from admiring glances to scathing whispers. You, Anne Boleyn, stood at the heart of a storm of ambition and fleeting glory, where happiness and ruin lay in perilous equilibrium. Bathing at the Tudor court is a stifling ritual. You may choose to sit or stand as the ladies in waiting haul 2 buckets of water heated by the fire. The gentle trickle of water and the dim candlelight create a scene both romantic and eerie, for each drop is believed to open pores and invite disease. Medical wisdom of the time holds that the natural dirt on your skin forms a protective barrier, so even if you are not dirty by Tudor standards, you cannot remain fresh for more than a few hours. Instead of daily washing, Tudor royalty relies on linen shifts to absorb sweat and oils, changing them only if the family coffers are deep enough. Your outer garments, lengthy gowns and robes go unwashed for months on end. Thus, you harbour a constant dread when you smile. Stained, decaying teeth have become a mark of social status. Without toothpaste or toothbrush, you must scrape your teeth with a linen cloth, sometimes mixed with abrasive powder or by chewing herbs, then rinse with wine vinegar to mask odour. Yet, by your late 20s, your smile, Anne Boleyn, bears grim brown patches, reflecting years of silent suffering. Your long raven hair, one of your most celebrated charms, also endures its share of torment. The harsh stripping soap leaves it dry and brittle. Then you conceal it beneath a French hood or a gable hood, creating an ideal breeding ground for lice. Every member of the court, from the Queen herself to high-ranking clerics, battles these tiny invaders under their headgear. At times, you must discreetly scratch beneath your opulent attire while discussing politics. Should a rash appear, no medic will treat it. Such blemishes are merely Tudor fashion marks. Thus, after more than a week confined to hygiene rituals and suffocating attire, you don a lavish cloak to face the court. Lips sealed, you clutch your pomander close to mask the damp odours, bracing yourself for the stares that greet you from every corner. You may appear resplendent, but this splendour is a fragile veneer in a society that prizes appearance above all else. Every step you take on the cold palace stone reminds you that power is no easy mantle. And you, even as a non-royal tutor's daughter, are entering an arena where both life and honour hang in the balance. Finally, in the year 1533, Henry VIII reunites with you through an unprecedented religious schism, tearing away from the Holy See, and formally marries you as his second wife. That grand day unfolds at Westminster Abbey in lavish ceremony. The vaulted ceilings decked in banners and flowers, thousands of flickering candles adorning the altar, and a choir echoing praises of both God and the monarchy. You ascend the dais, draped in a velvet cloak embroidered with brilliant gold. In that moment you resemble an idealized statue of a queen, yet beneath those shimmering robes, you know you stand upon a fragile bridge. A single day's delay in producing a male heir, and you might lose everything. When your swollen belly begins to show every subtle movement, the court and commoners gush with speculation. Did they spend the night together before the wedding? Is Princess Elizabeth merely a political placeholder? These murmurs swirl around you like gusts of wind, each one carrying the weight of expectation. In Henry's eyes, the Queen is not only a companion but also a vessel for a son, the living symbol of a secure dynasty. All hopes and political strategies hinge upon your womb. At last your time of labour arrives, but the outcome is a bitter disappointment. You give birth to Princess Elizabeth, a healthy, red-haired infant, but she is not the Prince Henry so fervently desired. The assembled nobility falls into hushed silence. Henry's faint grimace betrays his disappointment. You feel as though you stand upon melting ice. Every whispered word in the hall feels like a nail driven into your heart. Childbearing in Tudor times is no less torturous. There are no ultrasound scans, no prenatal care. You rely solely on the fluttering sensations in your womb. As the pangs of childbirth strike, you kneel in prayer beneath dim candlelight, clutching your belly with trembling hands and closing your eyes to welcome your child into the world. The birthing chamber is sealed tight, windows shuttered against any stray draught. Men, even physicians, are strictly forbidden. The oppressive chaos of a Tudor birth leaves an indelible mark upon your mind. Following Elizabeth's birth, a series of sombre months ensue as you endure at least 3 miscarriages. Each loss sends waves of anguish through body and soul. Another failure. Divine punishment for replacing Catherine. The overheard murmurs chip away at your confidence. They attribute every poor harvest or Henry's foul mood to you. You age rapidly, the once vibrant features of Anne Boleyn giving way to tired lines and worry. Each glance at your reflection reveals weary eyes and furrowed brow, stripping away the gentle smile you once bore. You crave a shred of comfort, yet the court's gaze offers only cold calculation. Instead of sympathy, you hear whispers of opportunists plotting to seize the void of power you risk leaving behind. The journey from a resplendent queen to a woman burdened by repeated loss unfolds like an unceasing nightmare. You fight not only for the life of your children but also for the tenuous title of queen, ever precarious in the arenas of politics and public opinion. And during the sleepless nights, as you listen to the wind creep through the shuttered window, your mind drifts between hope and despair, between your role as a woman and the political pawn Henry has made of you. The notion that a woman is only valued if she bears a son has never been more apparent in Tudor England. As you continue to fail in producing a male heir, King Henry VIII's attention begins to shift towards Jane Seymour, a demure young woman whose innocent facade masks her role as the perfect contingency. You sense it in the swift glances the king casts her way, the hushed whispers among the ladies in waiting. She may please him more. Perhaps she can succeed where you cannot. Though your family, the Boleyns, continues to reap royal favour, your father becomes Earl of Wiltshire, your brother Lord Rochford, relatives scattered throughout court. This exercise of power spawns fresh enemies at every turn. Beyond that, you find yourself unwillingly cast as the figurehead of Henry's religious revolution. When he issues decrees dissolving monasteries, banning ancient rites, and calls for the Bible to be translated into English, your profile soars in reformist circles. To the reformers, you are the harbinger of a new spiritual dawn. To the conservatives, you are the witch who led Henry into heresy. You hold salon debates on theology with the king himself, a perilous pastime as Henry's theological confidence borders on arrogance. What once seemed a noble cause soon becomes a burden. You are accused of bewitching Henry to abandon the true faith, blamed for the ensuing chaos. Plots to undermine you multiply. The Spanish ambassador seeks any excuse to discredit you, spinning tales that you conspire against Henry. Reformist allies, when it suits them, turn their backs to safeguard their own positions. You push for monastery revenues to fund education, campaign for Bibles in English, but the traditional nobility labels you a threat to the natural order. By early 1536, Henry grows weary of the very religious conflict he set in motion. You, once his symbol of power, become a liability, the root of religious strife. The upper echelons of the nobility, Thomas Cromwell, the Duke of Norfolk, even members of your own family pivot their alliances to isolate you. Cromwell expedites dissolution orders, Norfolk persuades Henry to diminish your influence, and your relatives dare not speak your name, fearful for their own standing. In this ever-shifting game of power, your position as queen is rendered almost impure, an inconvenient pawn. Each arrival at court greets you with wary stares and whispered gossip that chills you to the bone. Your hair, adorned with ceremonial ornaments, weighs heavy with anxiety. Your jeweled scepter trembles in your trembling hand. You come to understand that the throne is not a destination but an endless contest of faith and cunning. You once believed you could guide the realm with wisdom. Now, in the dim glow of the abbey candles and the hush before the storm, you are but a political casualty, fated to fall for the sake of greater ambitions. And when night falls upon the palace, you sink into a velvet-draped chair, listening to the echo of distant footsteps, wondering, will you still hold a place in Henry's heart tomorrow, or are you destined to be cast aside? A forgotten footnote in the opulent yet ruthless annals of Tudor history. At the beginning of April, in 1536, just as you still believed your fortunes might turn, the king suddenly ordered your arrest for high treason, adultery, and even incest with your brother George. You were enjoying a game of tennis in the palace courtyard, each ball's sharp thwack echoing under the spring sky when soldiers knocked on your door and gave no warning. Within moments, you were shackled and escorted to the Tower of London, the very place you had slept before your coronation, now a silent prison. The cold metal of the manacle against your wrists startled you, revealing the depth of betrayal. The charges against you had been meticulously concocted. Incest with your brother, adultery with multiple courtiers, plotting to assassinate the king, and planning to wed lovers after Henry's death. The only evidence was the tortured confessions of men like Mark Smeaton, and Thomas Cromwell urged Henry to proceed swiftly in order to eliminate the witch before she grew more dangerous. Despite your protest that royal guards shadowed you constantly, the court decreed all accusations an irrefutable truth. Your trial took place in mid-May, presided over by your uncle, the Duke of Norfolk, with a jury teeming with your enemies. Under pressure, witnesses withdrew their statements. You were permitted to defend yourself, yet your words fell into a void as political prejudice sealed your fate before the hearing began. In a final act, Henry spared you the horror of burning reserved for witches and commuted the sentence to beheading. He summoned a French executioner, wielding a razor-sharp sword, to ensure a single clean stroke, avoiding the brutality of multiple blows. During the days awaiting execution, you experienced every possible emotion: panic, indignation, and astonishing composure. At night, you awoke to the rhythmic hammering of the scaffold frame being constructed, each echo a drumbeat of doom. You mocked fate with a wry joke, just the right size for a single strike to do the job. That forced humour was both torment and relief. You prayed fervently in your cell, penning pleas for Henry to honour his promise to protect your daughter Elizabeth, though you knew such assurances were fleeting. Each line you wrote was a plea for your child's future, for a maternal bond never fully realised. The eve before your execution, you donned a crimson cloak symbolising your self-respect, paired with a sombre grey gown, your final attire, a proud act of defiance. Inside the cold, iron-bound cell, you leaned against the stone wall, holding wood to jot down the moment of destiny. Drops of dew seemed to mingle with tears on your cheeks, shimmering in the feeble candlelight. Dawn arrived, and you emerged from the cell with measured steps, cloak clasped tightly, steeling yourself for the ultimate price. You ascended the scaffold steps slowly, each footfall dragging your spirit onward. The echo of your shoes on the cold stones and the whisper of the spring wind through narrowing gaps made the scene eerily solemn. Standing before the execution block, you drew a deep breath and whispered to your daughter, "Keep love and honour in your heart, dear Elizabeth." Your gaze remained resolute, radiant with dignity, even though you knew this would be your final moment. In the instant the blade fell, all intrigue and plotting vanished, leaving only the chill of steel and the hush of eternity. Thus you, Anne Boleyn, ended your intricate journey, though your story would forever be etched in history, a testament to the courage and tragedy of a woman who dared to stand amidst the storms of power. On the morn of the 19th of May in 1536, with mist still lingering in the air, you ascend the scaffold at Tower Green, chosen for its smaller crowd to minimize pity. The world is hushed, save for the whisper of a breeze through the leaves and the metallic scent of cold steel. Though just days ago your hands quivered in fear, now you stand unwavering. The council, including Thomas Cromwell and the Duke of Norfolk, is present to oversee with stern vigilance. Your loyal friends are absent, having departed upon your imprisonment. The gathered nobility stands at a distance, mere shadowy figures witnessing your final moments. Turning to face them, you lift your chin, briefly catching the pale dawn light upon your face, lending you an air of regal defiance. You offer a short word of thanks. Thank you for being here today. Then, dropping to your knees, you fold your hands and whisper, Almighty God, I commend my soul to thee. In that instant, your heart feels strangely serene, as though summoning every ounce of courage for the fate ahead. The French executioner steps forward, raising his blade with deliberate slowness. The polished steel gleams in the dawn haze as it hovers above you. You draw a steady breath, holding time itself in suspension, and in one swift motion the sword descends, ending your tumultuous life in a single stroke. Your raven hair falls upon the cold stone below, the small pendant at your throat clinking softly, painting a poignant tableau of a queen's demise. Silence returns in the wake of that final strike. Within 24 hours, Henry becomes engaged to Jane Seymour, and 2 weeks later they marry in haste. History records you, Anne Boleyn, as a dark chapter. Your portraits are destroyed, your royal symbols struck from the palace walls. Your body is placed in a simple wooden coffin and buried quietly in the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula, with no tombstone or ceremony, only the mute witness of cold stone walls. Your daughter, Princess Elizabeth, not yet 3, is stripped of her title and removed from the line of succession. The Boleyn family bears the brunt of public scorn. Some scatter into exile, others cling to whatever scraps of influence remain, living in the shadow of disgrace. Within the tower, the murmur of betrayal and intrigue persists. Instead of remembering a queen, people speak of you as a dangerous witch. The voices that once praised your wit and grace have turned their sharpened words into daggers, piercing the honour that is all but erased. Tower Green returns to its solemn routines, broken only by the wind's mournful sigh through narrow windows. Yet the echo of your story endures. Pilgrims pause before the very spot of your end, gaze upon the humble memorial erected later, and lay down candles and flowers in tribute to a woman who shook history, even if only for a fleeting moment. For you, Anne Boleyn, have departed this world, leaving behind a tangled legacy, a religious schism, social upheaval, and a tragic tale of power, sexuality, and the merciless machinery of empire. Though history turns ever onward, your silhouette remains a reminder. In the heart of political storms, none stand untouched. From that final second onward, Anne Boleyn no longer walks this earth, yet the reverberations of her courage, her longing, and her tragedy lull to sleep those who dare to look back upon her past. Ironically, your daughter Elizabeth, once deemed a political failure, becomes the brightest star of the Tudor dynasty. In the year 1558, when she ascends the throne at the age of 25, Elizabeth never publicly mentions her mother, yet she subtly employs the emblem of the BB for Berlin and the heraldic falcon of the Boleyn house upon her royal crest, a silent tribute. You might imagine her raising the scepter, draped in academic gown, the busy insect pinned to her breast, hidden in plain sight by all. Under Elizabeth's reign, the Church of England is firmly re-established, and religious freedom broadens. She dismantles oppressive restrictions and permits every class to access the scriptures in their native tongue. She champions education, founding schools and libraries across the land, transforming England into a scholarly hub of Europe. Her 44-year rule is remembered as the Virgin Queen era, a symbol of benevolent monarchic power and cultural flourishing. The records of the Boleyn family, once purged from official annals after your demise, quietly revive. Several of your nephews and nieces receive high offices under Elizabeth's court, ensuring the Boleyn lineage endures among the nobility. If you could witness it, you might smile at the subtle return of your name upon royal decrees, a discreet nod to your memory. The castles once linked to your fate now draw pilgrims in droves. Hampton Court, where lavish banquets once rang with laughter, Heather Castle, your modest lodge before glory, and the Tower of London, your final prison, welcome millions who walk their stones in hushed reverence. Picture travellers pausing before the White Tower, where you waited your fate, whispering tales of your legacy as they pass through. The rare portraits of you that survived the eradication campaigns are carefully restored, displayed prominently in the National Museum, alongside tapestries that narrate your life. Each gilded frame and soft spotlight lets your proud, melancholic portrait shine. Visitors linger in front of each work, some with tears, some sighing at the tragedy encapsulated in your gaze. In those peaceful days, if you could watch from beyond, you would witness time's wheel turning, from the cold gloom of Tower Green to the radiant splendour of Elizabeth's court. You, Anne Boleyn, once forgotten, now stand as a beacon in history, reminding future generations of the power of resilience and aspiration. As night falls, the flicker of gallery candles is like your shimmering eyes guiding visitors. Footsteps echo gently through the hall, mingling with the soft toll of ancient bells, evoking your image, a courageous woman who, though once laid low, is reborn in collective memory. Elizabeth not only honours you, but affirms that a true icon can never be erased. And among rose petals scattered through the palace gardens, in the dawn chorus of birdsong, one might hear the whisper, "Anne Boleyn lives on." In the dreamy hush of slumber, you could smile, knowing your story has outshone the darkest acts of history, rising to brilliance under the canopy of freedom and knowledge. In the 19th century, you, Anne Boleyn, are reborn in the eyes of Protestant historians as a sanctified figure. They hail you as a martyr of a cruel feudal system, one who sacrificed everything for faith and love. In those pages of history, your sorrowful gaze is immortalized, the title Martyr forever entwined with the image of you kneeling beneath the wheels of ruthless power. Romantic literature of the era casts you as a tragic princess, condemned by fate simply for daring to love and to dream. By the 20th century, your image shifts dramatically. Film and novel portrayals transform you into a femme fatale, a sharp-minded, ambitious woman whose very presence drives the tension of every scene. On screen, you appear in elegant headgear, your calculating eyes igniting a tempestuous romance with Henry. In fiction, you are reimagined as a manipulator of the throne, using wit and intrigue to win affection and topple dynasties. Though these depictions stray from historical truth, they paint you as irresistibly dangerous and alluring. Today, through modern scholarship and deep research, your portrayal is refined yet again. Historians recognize you as an intellectual force with keen political vision and a pioneering zeal for women's rights revolutionary concepts in Tudor society. You were not merely accused of witchcraft or seduction, but were a catalyst for the translation of the Bible into English and an advocate for widespread education. Sociological studies explore your role in laying foundations of justice and equality, celebrating the seeds you planted for future feminist movements. Academic reconstructions now present you not as a tragic victim or a scheming seductress, but as a courageous woman driven by freedom and empowerment. You are placed alongside Renaissance thinkers, compared to Elizabeth I, your daughter, in how both skillfully wielded influence to reshape society. This multidimensional scholarship positions you as a modern icon, undaunted by prejudice, ready to champion personal liberty and the rights of the marginalized. In university seminars, you are cited as the spark for debates on religion, women's rights, and royal power. History students pore over memoirs of your life with thoughtful respect, realizing that a 16th century woman's political career can illuminate social revolutions centuries later. From martyr to femme fatale to intellectual champion, your story has become a beacon illuminating critical crossroads in cultural history. And in the tranquil hush of a museum gallery, when you gaze into the antique mirror beside your restored portrait, you see that your presence endures across generations. Whispers of admiration affirm that truth rises above the storms of history. You, Anne Boleyn, are more than a political figure of a bygone era. You are an endless source of inspiration for those who believe in the power of knowledge, courage, and the longing for change. Your story, Anne Boleyn, reminds us how power truly operates. A strong, intelligent woman is still cast down when she fails to please the ruling order. The smear campaigns, the fabrication of falsehoods, and the exploitation of sensational rumors, all these methods aimed at bringing you down, reappear in different guises today. In this age of fake news and cyber attacks, understanding the manipulation of public opinion through your trial offers us a priceless lesson. You might smile softly at the thought that, 4 centuries on, political maneuvering and information warfare still follow a familiar script, only the tools and pace have evolved. Today, the fight for gender equality rages on. Strong women continue to be sidelined, labelled overly ambitious or not cooperative enough, echoing the injustices you faced. Yet your unwavering example, even in the face of mortal defeat and a tragic end, serves as a guiding light for modern women to stand firm. You endured the pressure to produce a male heir, the labyrinth of political conspiracies, and ultimately, a cruel death. But your journey did not end on the scaffold. From your days as a humble tutor's daughter, through the dizzy heights of queenship, to the dark depths of imprisonment and execution, your life was a tempest of triumph and calamity. And though you yourself did not survive the storm, your legacy found rebirth in your daughter Elizabeth, who established a more prosperous and just realm. That contrast, personal tragedy evolving into a global inheritance, stands as a poignant testament to the power of aspiration and inner strength. When you reflect on that journey, you see each courageous choice you made. You engaged in religious debate despite the razor's edge of danger. You championed the translation of the Bible even as fierce backlash gathered. You endured repeated miscarriage, each loss a shattering blow. Though these efforts did not spare you the tragic finale, they planted seeds of hope for a society more respectful of women's rights. Imagine yourself standing between two worlds: Tudor England, where you were deemed a threat to royal authority, and the modern world, where women speak out boldly, unafraid to challenge prejudice. Look back through history's corridor and see your silhouette woven into the marches for equality, the speeches on human rights, the poems and essays celebrating courage. That is your legacy, a small torch lighting the way for countless generations to follow. In your slumber, you might dream of 21st century women's strikes, the swell of Me Too hashtags online, conferences on pay gaps and leadership rights. You smile quietly, wondering if Elizabeth knows how far her mother's legacy has travelled. Though you never witness its full impact, you understand that your spirit of resilience and justice has taken root. And perhaps, one day, a future reader will open a history book and read of you, understanding that power never stands alone. It is a delicate balance of wisdom, conviction, and strategy. You, Anne Boleyn, played by Tudor, court rules and endured excruciating pain, but you left your mark. A strong woman can change her destiny, even at tremendous cost. Picture yourself softly humming a lullaby. History's whispers rock you to sleep, gentle as a morning breeze. On that final night, Anne Boleyn, rest easy, for your story continues to awaken minds every time someone questions fairness, power, and truth. And so, in that way, despite your short life, you inspired a world to awaken from the winter sleep of prejudice. After years of concealment, your secret tomb, Anne Boleyn's, was finally uncovered during the 19th century restoration of the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula. Initially, your burial site bore no headstone or marker. It was merely a rough wooden coffin hidden beneath the floor, quietly containing the remains of a once great queen. When archaeologists and historians stumbled upon this modest artifact, they identified the small coffin as yours, the last silent testament to Anne Boleyn. Word spread swiftly across Europe, drawing travelers, scholars, and history enthusiasts alike. A simple plaque was promptly erected on the cold stone floor, inscribed with your honour, Anne Boleyn, Queen of England, 1536. Its unadorned lettering stood in stark contrast to elaborate monuments. This belated acknowledgement felt like history's apology for a long-buried tragedy. You might imagine esteemed experts bowing before your coffin, candlelight flickering on the ancient vaulted ceiling, casting gentle light into the darkness. Today, the Tower of London and the Chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula have become pilgrimage sites for those wishing to pay respect to you. Visitors queue quietly, entering the sacred space and pausing before your modest plaque. They light incense, lay wreaths of fresh flowers, or place small votive candles not only to honor a fallen queen, but also to reflect on the fleeting nature of power and the indomitable will that transcends death. Footsteps echo softly on the stone floor, blending with whispered commentaries about your life, making the atmosphere all the more serene. Many Tudor-themed tours now dedicate a significant portion of their itinerary to your tomb. Guides recount in deep, sleepy tones the moment you were led to prison, the orchestrated trial, and your final seconds on the scaffold. You can almost hear the hushed voices of the audience as they stand before the coffin, absorbing every detail of your story, then bowing their heads in solemn remembrance. Those who linger by your tomb often share a sense of respite, as if a weight of historical injustice has been lifted. They offer incense in your name, renewing hope that wrongs will not be repeated, that falsehoods will be undone, and that justice, even if belated, can still prevail. In the hushed lullaby of the chapel, you, though resting still in your wooden coffin, live on through the memory of countless visitors. As night falls, the adjoining museum dims its lights, leaving only moonlight streaming through the stained glass windows. Under that gentle glow, the tower's silhouette and your tomb merge into a tableau of remembrance and repose. You might picture your reflection in the moonlight, smiling softly, aware that your name is now permanently etched, not just in history books, but in the hearts of those who come to honor you. With each visitor's departure from St. Peter ad Vincula, they carry your story into the wider world, sharing it with friends, family, and future generations. They speak of the power of faith, the cruelty of unchecked authority, and the vital importance of upholding justice. And so you, Anne Boleyn, have risen from a hidden tomb to live anew in every whispered tribute, every ritual candle, every fragile wreath laid in your memory. Beyond its tourist appeal, your name Anne Boleyn has steadily gained recognition within scholarly circles. Academic articles, dissertations, and Tudor-themed seminars frequently analyze your role in the English Reformation and court politics. Modern historians emphasize that you were not merely a political stepping stone for Henry VIII, but a pioneer in translating the Bible into English, paving the way for lay access to scripture without intermediaries. They also note your advocacy for redirecting monastic wealth towards educational initiatives, laying the groundwork for England's later Enlightenment. In lecture halls, professors adopt a drowsy cadence as they recount letters you sent to Cromwell, discussions you held with continental scholars, and how you invited lecturers into the dissolved monasteries. Students listen, fingers tapping notes on laptops, then glance up at charts depicting the Reformation's progress during your influence. Textbooks chart your image alongside other early reformers, affirming your status as an early reformist. 20th and 21st century drama and film continue to present you through multifaceted lenses. In television series like The Tudors, you appear as a complex character, ambitious, sharp, yet deeply tragic. Slow camera pans show you traversing candlelit corridors, determination flickering in your eyes before giving way to worrisome shadows. BBC documentaries highlight your intellectual dimension in sleepy narration, drawing audiences into a world of opulence and intrigue. Historical novels and literary critiques cast you among the archetypal femme fatales of modern law. They celebrate you as a woman of intrigue and resolve, while also acknowledging your profound inner sorrow. Chapters describe suspicious glances when you enter council chambers, forced smiles at court banquets, and nights you spent tossing in bed, pondering how to maintain your precarious position. Which evolves into visionary, underscoring the breadth of interpretations your life inspires. Literary studies juxtapose your portrayal in Shakespeare's Henry VIII with your cinematic representations. Scholars argue that even your fleeting appearance in the play leaves an enduring mark. Recent historical novels explore themes of power and honor, placing you at the heart of discussions on feminism and politics. You might imagine yourself smiling in your dreams at the countless works that have resurrected your memory across pages, screens, and academic debates. This rich current of scholarship has turned you into a role model for modern women, someone who refuses to accept fate and dares to fight for belief and ideals. At late-night panel discussions, speakers often close with a reference to your spirit, a gentle lullaby for weary listeners. Be courageous, as Anne once was. You, Anne Boleyn, beneath your stone tomb, still awaken souls and remind us that knowledge and will can overcome the shackles of prejudice. Though history can be harsh, your name still resonates in libraries and lecture theatres, like the tolling of bells in a quiet night. That resonance, soft yet persistent, lulls into slumber all who yearn for justice and freedom, an eternal bedtime hymn of inspiration. Your story, Anne Boleyn's, offers a timeless lesson. Power is fleeting, and the media can destroy a person in the blink of an eye. You once falsely accused of incest, adultery, and treason, and subjected to a staged trial within days, stand as a vivid testament to the formidable force of fake news and political maneuvering. In your era, the penalty was the guillotine's blade. Today, that blade is wielded by trial by media, where public opinion and social networks spread rumors at lightning speed. When those in authority manipulate information, no one is safe. Anyone can become the victim of a virtual trial on digital platforms, where each post, each retweet, can be a devastating blow to one's reputation. You might picture millions of eyes following your every move, discussing your life not through historical documents, but through sensationalized statuses that take on a life of their own. In our modern context, safeguarding truth and freedom of expression is more crucial than ever. You never had the chance to clear your name, for the evidence against you was prearranged, the testimonies steered from the start. Today, when you encounter a sensational headline, you must ask yourself, what is the motive behind this story? Where does this information come from? Who benefits from its spread? Rather than sharing instantly, you pause, hover your finger above the keyboard, and critically evaluate the content before letting it loose. You have witnessed countless scandals blown out of proportion online, where individuals are branded public enemies, within hours based on a single edited clip. Each of us must develop the skills to read, analyze, and judge information just as you once fought deceit in Tudor courts. Doing so not only protects you from falsehoods, but also upholds democratic ideals. When discourse is fact-checked and truth is respected, society has the best chance to flourish sustainably. Remember that in an information-saturated world, silence can be golden. You may choose to remain out of heated debates until you are sure of the facts. You can remind friends and family to verify sources before they accept a claim. You can teach children that an unchecked story is an unexploded bomb. This is how you continue your legacy, not with vengeance, but with wisdom and vigilance. Imagine scrolling through social feeds. The screens glow, reflecting your wide eyes at sensational headlines. You close your eyes, inhale deeply, then reopen them with cautious resolve. You read the article thoroughly, check the sources, cross-reference with reputable outlets, and only when you are confident do you hit share. Each small act becomes a weapon against the chaos of misinformation, much like you once entered theological debates to defend truth. And when night falls, you tuck yourself into a peaceful sleep, comforted by the knowledge that, even in a turbulent world, you have held fast to the truth. Anne Boleyn, even as fate cast you into tragedy, you left a lesson that transcends time. Information can be a force for good, or a weapon of destruction. Choose to wield it wisely, rather than be wielded by it. Despite facing brutal oppression, you, Anne Boleyn, never abandoned faith in yourself. Recall the moment you chose that crimson robe on the eve of your final day, a blazing hue set against the gloom of your cell, igniting a fierce pride that refused to be extinguished. That red cloak was more than last attire. It was your declaration, no matter what, I stand firm in my worth. On the morning you ascended the scaffold, that very pride endured. Before the gathered council and the few spectators, you delivered your final speech, praising Henry as a merciful and sovereign king. Your words, tender yet stately, echoed through the hushed space, challenging every prejudice. Though many saw you as a puppet of power, you spoke with genuine warmth, making your sincerity impossible to dismiss. That image of you unbowed in your final hour has inspired countless generations of women. They look to your story and learn that inner strength is not exclusive to the victor, but also belongs to those who persevere to the end. They envision you standing tall before the sword and scornful eyes, yet remaining poised, preserving the dignity of a queen and enduring model of resilience within a ruthless political arena. From early 20th century suffragettes to contemporary gender equality activists, your name resurfaces as a shining example. When they rally for the vote, they recall you, one woman entering a man's world and refusing to retreat. When they march for fair labor practices for nurses or factory workers, they see echoes of your defiance against the notion that a woman's place is solely at home. In your dreams, you might witness undergraduates laughing in the library as they passionately debate politics and gender roles without fear. You might see a CEO in a tailored suit at a conference, citing you as inspiration to break through barriers. You might hear artists and writers quoting your final words in their works, passing your torch forward in lines of verse that kindle bravery. Indeed, your legacy appears in leadership training materials used to teach resilience in crisis. Students learn, "Study Anne Boleyn, she stood tall in peril, chose red as her unapologetic statement, and used her voice to preserve dignity in her last moments." You would smile, hearing your name spoken softly in dimmed halls, the speaker's voice a lullaby for aspiring leaders. Though history can be harsh, you maintain the conviction that no woman's worth is defined by failure or by others' judgments. Your resilience is the priceless gift you have left the world. When your tragic chapter closed, you paved the way for a new era, the era of women's aspirations, of intellectual revolutions, where women step forward and declare, "I am here, and I am not afraid." And now, resting in your cold stone tomb with the wind weaving lullabies through the chapel, you may rest assured that your legacy endures. Anne Boleyn, you have penned the story of courage and resolve, lulling future generations into a hopeful slumber so they awaken with undying belief in themselves. Through today's video, you will not only embark on a tragic historical journey through Anne Boleyn's life, but you will also discover a profound message about the power of will and the value of steadfastly defending the truth. By following her path from a commoner entering the royal court to becoming queen, then being used as a political pawn and meeting a sorrowful end, you will realize that power is never permanent. Every title and every office only holds meaning when they serve humanity's fundamental values: courage, honesty, and faith in justice. The central message of the video is this: even under the harshest oppression and the cruelest false accusations, a person can maintain dignity and self-belief. You saw how Anne chose to wear that vibrant red gown on the day of her fate, used her final words to praise Henry as a merciful and sovereign king, and most importantly, never abandoned her dream of a fair society, one in which women are respected and the voice of truth never fades. This video also provides you with a precious example. When faced with the challenges of modern life, whether work pressures, complicated public opinion, or dealing with fake news and smear campaigns, you can learn from Anne how to stand firm. You can apply her lesson of verifying information before sharing, of refusing to bow to unjust pressures, and of using language as a tool to defend your honor and dignity. In today's digital world, each time you confront a trial by media on social networks, remember Anne's staged trial. The cruelty of manipulated information can destroy a reputation in an instant. The video encourages you to become a savvy consumer of news pause, reflect, investigate sources, and only share verified information. This is not only a survival skill in the fake news era, but also a way to show respect for yourself and for those around you. Beyond the personal level, Anne Boleyn's story is a reminder of social responsibility. When you stand up against injustice, however small, such as defending a colleague against slander or supporting a campaign for community rights, you truly help build a stronger society. Enduring power lies in solidarity and in defending what is right, exactly as Anne did when she fought for religious freedom and education. Finally, through this story, you will understand that every individual can become a guiding light, no matter how dark the circumstances. Resilience, love of justice, and compassion are timeless values that guide us through life's ups and downs. Anne Boleyn, though she fell, still stands tall as a symbol of that immortal aspiration. And now, as the video draws to a close, take a moment to reflect on the lessons you have just absorbed, the power of belief, the importance of truth, and how to protect yourself in a challenging world. If you are still awake, let these reflections lull you into a sweet slumber with a peaceful heart and a strong spirit. Lastly, good night to those of you still watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest and greatest videos.